in the face twice, and he had no reaction.
Wow.
So I want to just be clear here that just because you had a bad reaction once, it doesn't mean you're going to be on the long-term allergic.
Which is so important, because I feel like, and I don't want to say too much about this, but like so much of our society is diagnosed top down. This is the disorder. This is what's wrong. Here's the medication, as opposed to, whoa, whoa, whoa. That happened once.
Yeah.
So maybe those really loving, well-meaning mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles out there are saying, my son's allergic. Maybe they are. Maybe they were once.
You got it.
But maybe they can grow out of it. Just as people grow out of asthma.
Exactly.
Just as people can be healed from heart disease by no longer eating, you know, things
the amount of times people tell me, they go, Eric, I'm allergic to bees. I'm allergic to bees. And I go, have you been stung? Either they haven't been stung, or they've been told they've been allergic since they were born, and they've never had a situation where they've actually been stung. So,
and we're not doctors by any means, and we definitely respect the medical profession and all of its genius, both Western and Eastern medicine.
Definitely.
But that is something to profoundly appreciate. Wow,
got it, brother.
Just because I'm stung once doesn't mean I could be stung again and have that same
totally,
reaction.
man. And I
let me be reasonable about this.
A lot of beekeepers say that if you're stung multiple times, it's better because you build up more of a body. Your body gets used to that type of thing. If you get stung once when you're 4 years old, you're never stung again until you're 25. Your body can build up an extreme reaction to it because they don't know what it is. Your body has no idea how to handle that.
Just like peanut butter, they say you know, a lot of the more holistic but still extremely well educated John Hopkins, Harvard doctors are saying, hey, give your kid tiny little bits of peanut butter, tiny little bits, you know, in the beginning of their life in a safe ways.
You got it.
Just like the bee pollen.
You got it, man.
Right?
So
it's all about exposure to these things in our environment.
See, you got to remember, dude, it's all relative, and bees are one of those examples. So we manage these bees, myself and 2 other volunteer beekeepers. And what we do with these bees at MEVO, because we have thousands of people, thousands and thousands of volunteers that come to our farm, but not that many come to the bees. So the way we bring the bees to the people is we do educational programs. We will go to schools with these bees. We will go to farmers markets and earth fairs, and we'll teach about honeybees. And that's kind of our way we engage the beehives into the organization. You know, I love beekeeping, but it is something that not everybody relates to. Not everyone is as, you know, I have summer interns every year. Sometimes I have up to 22, 24 interns. Wow. And out of a group of 22, maybe only 2 of them are really interested in bees. Okay. And that's because there is an inherent fear people have for the insects. And there's no reason to force it. If you're really into bees, we're going to get you out here. But if you're not, then we'll bring them to you in a way that you can get interested in them without having to be directly covered in them and at risk of getting, you know, stung by them. So let's talk about the different hives we have here. So these hives here are all in their 2nd year. And what I want you guys to notice is the different size of these hives. You'll notice that this one, like I said before, is my biggest hive. It's really tall.
5 winters
we have, this one's actually 2nd year hive. Wow. So our going to be going into 2nd winter. This hive here, this is our 5th year hive. Okay. So this hive has been here at this spot for 5 winters. And I want you to think about that. It's five winters in, and it's small. I mean, compared to this guy, it's small. But that's based on the hive. Every hive here is of different sizes based on the personality of the hive, the genes of the queen, the interest in foraging, and the energy to forage. They're all foraging within 3 to 5 miles of these beehives, because bees only fly about 3 to 5 miles away from their beehive in order to get food.
Which makes you think how important it is to have beehives every 3 to 5 miles.
You got it, man.
Right?
So we have 20 hives right here. By the way, just so you guys know, this is probably the most bees I'd ever have in one location.
Okay.
I don't like the idea of having more than 20 hives in one place. In fact, you know, when I get I'm getting another apiary up in Mahwah at the big farm. We're going to be moving probably 5 of these hives up there. We'll probably have 10 in Mahwah, 15 here, and I like to have the number around 15 or 16 hives per apiary. You know, some conventional beekeepers, they have thousands of hives in one location, 55,000 hives, 40,000 hives, crazy numbers. Wow. 20 hives, I think, is really enough for one location. With that said, though, the reason they're all different sizes is because of the energy of that hive and kind of what they're all doing. Each hive has its own unique little quirks, personalities, and things going on with it. So I'm going to open up one, let you guys kind of take a look inside and see what's going on.
Great.
I have my suit on. By the way, just so you know, I always advocate for wearing a bee suit. A lot of beekeepers don't wear bee suits, and I'm totally down for that. But because I have 20 hives and I also run a farm, I don't have the time to always work slow enough with the bees. And because of that, sometimes when I'm working, I'll piss off a couple bees, and I don't want to have to deal with the fighting with them and getting stung in the face, that whole thing. So most beekeepers don't use suits. A lot of them don't, but I do use a suit if I need it. Alex doesn't have a suit on. He's not going to probably need one. I'm not going to be wearing. I'm just going to have the suit on in case I need it. But I think we'll be pretty good with the hives. It's but
you said
yeah,
some Hail Marys today,
it's just
and I appreciate bees. So the
definitely,
vibe's
man.
there.
Definitely, it's important. It's important to know that, like, I don't treat my bees as things I'm afraid of. But I'll wear a suit if it makes me calmer to wear a bee suit and take care of my bees slower. Then I'll do that so that I'm not worried about the bees stinging me.
Yeah, you're in a good state.
Right,
your
man.
Chemicals.
You need a good mental state
Yes.
to work with bees,
Right.
and I'd rather be calm and collected than worried.
Which is not some hippie, hooey. That we're talking mental state directly influences chemical processes in the brain and the body, and therefore pheromones and smell.
Your hands are shaking or they're not shaking. You're sweating
too.
more. You're jerking the hive. You forget to do this. You forget to do that, and that's what leads to a hive getting a little bit more aggressive. So let me open up this hive because it's a small one.
Okay.
And I'll show you inside. You got enough battery, Alex, and stuff?
We're good.
Okay,
It's
cool.
still going. I think we're buzzing.
Cool, man.
We're buzzing. Thank you for doing this, because this is
Of course.
I feel like so many people are interested and they can't get too close, and I think it's different when they know the person doing the. This is
I
huge.
recommend beekeeping to anyone who's interested. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and it definitely has changed me a lot of ways. And I love bees, and I think it's a great thing for people to do.
Yeah, and a shout out to my dad, in Virginia.
Heck yeah, man.
We're getting you a beehive, Dad. It's coming.
Dude.
It's coming.
Let's do it.
All right.
So this is a swarm capture. So we caught this hive from a swarm from another beekeeper, and I'll explain kind of a little bit about that later.
All right.
But before I enter a beehive, I always add smoke. So smoke, we'll talk about later too, is a way to kind of calm the bees down. So I come up here to the front of the hive. I add a little bit of smoke in the entrance, just right here.
Okay. This is just regular burning leaves.
Yeah, this is a little bit of newspaper and then a lot of wood chips.
A little bit of newspaper and a lot of wood chips producing carbon dioxide and monoxide.
You got it. So then I pop the lid here. I give them a little bit of smoke in the lid. And I just give them a second for the smoke to filter down through the hive.
And what is the smoke doing to them physiologically?
The smoke triggers a evolutionary reaction to fire. So they smell smoke. They naturally live in trees. That smoke scent makes them think that their hive is on fire, which sounds bad. It sounds like, oh my God, that's not a good thing to do. But what it does is it triggers a gorging reaction, which means the bees start to gorge themselves on honey and eat all the honey they can find. The idea being they're gorging on honey. They're going to take that honey and they're going to fly out of the hive to a new beehive, and they're going to bring that honey with them.
And regurgitate it?
You got it.
Sounds like my every evening. As right now, there's no more food left. Eat it quickly, and then
So the thing to know about that. The thing to know about that is that that distracts them from me while I'm beekeeping, so that they're not bothered by me entering the hive.
So they're gorging, thinking, okay, fight or flight response. We're gonna have to fly. Let's eat as much honey as possible.
You got it. You got it.
Oh, look at this! Wow. Hey guys, thanks for doing all the pollinating work that we can't do.
So now once I open the hive, I always give them a little bit of smoke.
And I've never seen a beehive with this contraption here.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. So this is called a feeder. I feed my bees sugar water when they're at a small stage. I do not feed bees sugar water if they don't need it. I only provide them sugar water at an early stage of the hive growth. And that's to get them to a place where they're big enough that they can forage on their own and be able to survive the winter.
Okay.
Sugar water is simply an amendment to help them. It is not a mandatory thing, and a lot of beekeepers don't use it. But being a beekeeper that runs a farm, I do want them to produce honey eventually. So I try to make sure that they have a higher chance of surviving the winter by feeding them sugar water.
Gotcha. It's a nutrient supplement. It's a Kickstarter.
You got it. And now keep in mind, it's pure white sugar.
Right.
It's not raw sugar. They don't want any of the raw sugar because that raw sugar has a lot of. The idea would be it has a lot of the kind of impurities in it, and the bees don't necessarily want those impurities. It's harder for them to digest it. They just want the carbohydrates. They want the 100% pure raw cane sugar.
And that presumably is what most flowers give off in the form of pollen.
You got in the form of nectar. Nectar is what's going to have the carbohydrates in it.
Okay, so what's the difference between nectar and pollen?
Pollen is protein. Pollen
is protein.
Yeah, and I can show you that in the hive.
Pollen is protein, and
so
nectar is
your carbohydrates, your energy source.
Pollen is protein, and nectar is carbohydrates, energy source.
I know it says 0 on the front of this. Does that mean it's almost out of battery?
Let me see.
You take a look.
Keep on talking. Oh no, interesting. I thought this was a huge close-up for my fans. And oh wait, 45 minutes and going, and we have 1 bar left. I wonder what that 0 does mean. It's 00.00. I don't know, but we have we're live.
Okay, cool. We're good, man.
All right, let's do this.
So here we go. This is called the honey super.
Honey super.
Right. So this is where the bees put their honey. Now
Superman, Superwoman, meaning above, and this is above the deep. The
right.
Super.
Yep,
Ooh,
you got it.
Look at that.
So that's the comb that they're producing, that they've been making.
It's okay.
And you can see all the bees on there.
I'm here to help. It's okay.
So I'm just going to put this over here real quick. So now we're going to work through the super. The reason the bees are living in a super in this situation is because this hive is extremely small. So the bees live in this super instead of in deeps. But I opened this one because I really want to be able to show you guys the queen, and it's far easier to find her in a smaller hive like this one than it will be in a big one.
One queen, all her working gals, and some drones.
You got it.
What's the race to the sun? All the males chase after that one beauty.
They chase after the queen and they mate with her multiple times usually.
One male or
no,
many?
multiple males per
All right,
queen.
so we're talking genetic diversity.
So all I'm doing here is I'm just.
That's a healthy honeycomb right there.
Oh yeah, dude, that's all brand new too. Really, you guys saw the sugar water I was feeding them. Well, they were using that sugar water to make this comb.
What is it called again? I mean, we have the honeycomb here.
Here, come on over here. I can show you guys this a little bit better in the light. I always like to step away from the hive when I teach, just so that people can kind of look quiet. When you're away from the hive, it's a little less intense, and the bees don't get as in there as much as possible as they would if you're right over it. So when you look here, you'll see a lot of this new comb is white. All the white comb was created from the sugar water. And in there, you'll see a lot of liquid. That liquid in there that they're gorging on is what would be nectar or sugar water. So that's probably sugar water liquid because I've been feeding them sugar water. And they're gorging on it right now due to the smoke. So you'll see their heads are in there.
Oh,
and they kind of got their tongues in there, and they're drinking sugar water. You might notice their butts moving. That is them breathing as they're drinking.
So they have one long tongue that...
You got it. Their tongue does everything for them. Their tongue is like their elephant trunk. They use that for everything. Wow. So these bees right now are gorging on the nectar from the smoke and, in preparation to leave the hive. But obviously they won't be because the smoke smell will go away in about 10 minutes and they'll go back to normal.
Okay.
Here you can see them again gorging on this side. And all that comb you're seeing there was produced probably in the last couple of weeks from that sugar water.
And they make the matrix themselves, the mathematical...
Yep, they instinctually make the hexagon shape. You got it.
That's amazing. Nature makes that hexagon...
Five-sided.
Pentagon, then.
Yep, pentagon. Excuse me, pentagon.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like... I guess it's six-sided. It's six-sided.
1,
2, 3, 4, 6.
5. Yeah, so it's...
6. Hexagonal, not pentagon. So anyway, so these are all female workers. I'm going to try and show you guys a drone, but most of the workers in the hive are female. And they're female because they do not have fully developed reproductive organs. Show that wherever you want. There you go.
Yeah, beautiful. So again,
so the queen is the only bee in the hive that can lay eggs, fertilized eggs, while the other females, these workers, don't have fully developed reproductive organs, so they can't lay fertilized eggs to reproduce.
If the queen, something happens to that queen, could one of these drone, like not female, could one of the worker females develop fully sexually and become the queen?
They can't. They'd have to do that from an egg that the previous queen had laid.
Wow.
So I'll show you some more eggs and stuff. I'll take that from you. So they can't. The only thing the workers can do if the queen dies and the worker wants to lay eggs, the worker can lay what's called unfertilized drone eggs.
Okay.
So it's funny, when the queen dies and the worker might want to lay some eggs, the only eggs the worker can lay are male eggs. They can only lay eggs to produce male bees.
Therefore not threatening her dynasty.
I guess so. I mean, it's a crazy phenomenon of nature, but these females, they don't have the ability to lay fertilized eggs, but the unfertilized eggs become drones. So... Figure that
amazing.
out.
So there's no egg and sperm that occurs?
Is
that asexual reproduction?
With the queen there is, but with the female workers there isn't.
That's asexual reproduction.
In a lot of ways.